Hey everyone, good morning and welcome to the very first episode of AI GTM Talks. My name is Mani Iyer, uh, founder of a company called Kwanzu, and thank you all for joining us. Super excited to welcome Sriharsha Guduguntla, CEO of Hyperbound. Hi, Sriharsha.
Hi, Money. Thank you so much for having me. Very excited for
Yeah.
this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I thought, Sriharsha, I'll kick it off. Maybe give folks tuning in just a little bit of kind of the call it the motivation. Kind of why are we doing this? So, I was visiting India recently. I had the opportunity to do like an event with the folks at Dallas Venture Capital, and everybody was talking about how AI is coming in and transforming go to market. So that was the whole theme of that event. We had, over 100 SaaS and AI founders, super interested in this topic. And we know there's a lot of interest even among, senior, seasoned CMOs, marketing leaders, right, growth leaders, revenue leaders around this whole thing because it's completely coming and changing, right, go to market as we know it. Um, so what we've teed up is a series of talks, folks, with some amazing founders. And Sriharsha, we're super excited that you're joining us kind of to kick this whole thing off. And so the way we've structured this whole discussion is we'll get into a lot of it's going to be conversation, discussion. We certainly want to get really deep into each of our founders. What kind of GTM tech are they building? And hopefully, what the folks listening will get out of this whole discussion is a real appreciation for the kind of the vision, the thinking behind each of the pieces of technology, product solutions that are coming into the market, and hopefully get a deeper understanding of how do you put it all together, right? And at the end of the day, generate some business value. And we're going to have founders coming and talking in these sessions. We're also going to have some seasoned GTM leaders that are deploying real money, real budget, trying to solve problems using this new AI GTM tech. So with that, Sriharsha, I want to kick this off, talk about Hyperbound. So can you first maybe tell the audience, and by the way, let me just put up the next slide, which a little bit of, I know, background as we are talking here. Um, so, Sriharsha, tell us a little bit about Hyperbound. What do you all do?
Awesome. Thank you, Money. I love the idea behind this series. I think this is really smart. And especially right now, we are living in a time where things are moving fast. There's new tools coming in every single day. And people are wondering, like, how do we evaluate this? How do we think about AI in my go-to-market stack? And, what does the future sales go-to-market stack even look like, right? And
Yeah.
and so I like that you're putting this together. I think this is really smart. So quickly, right, Hyperbound, my co-founder and I started this company about a year ago. And what we essentially do in a nutshell is we are helping large enterprise sales teams train more effectively and more efficiently, right? And the way we do that is leveraging this new technology that we've developed called AI roleplay. Right. So if most of you, if you're in the go-to-market space, you've heard of role playing before, right? Maybe you've like role played with your peers in the past to practice where one person pretends to be the customer and you practice selling to them, right? And then it's basically like a practice scenario for you to just like, practice your selling skills. Now, imagine doing that scenario with an AI, right? Where the AI pretends to be the customer and you can role play with the AI. And right after your role play, the AI gives you all the feedback and coaching that you need to develop and improve the next time you do it. That's what Hyperbound is in a nutshell. Now you can imagine if I have if I'm an enterprise company, I have 500, 600 salespeople, I could deploy this product with every salesperson so they can all role play and practice their skills on their own time, right? Rather than having to rely on another person to role play with. So it's kind of a game changer in being able to, scale your training efforts across a large team.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I know, Sriharsha, one of the things you and I were chatting about was kind of the world before these kind of new AI tools came along.
Yeah.
Can you set the stage for the folks watching, listening, as to how did companies run their sales organization, sales teams, and get their sales folks up to speed? Right.
Yeah, no, 100%. So like even before all this AI technology came into the picture, right? Traditional sales training, the way it works is like, and I'm going to speak from the perspective of like a enterprise company, right? Like, because that's where our focus is. So I'm going to talk about companies that have like 500, 600 salespeople and how sales training is done today. What happens is usually they'll hire like a sales enablement team, right? This team might be consisted of like maybe at most like 5 to 10 people, right? And their task is to come in, build an onboarding program for all these reps, and also build like ongoing training programs as the company releases new products and new features, right? And part of the issue is you're asking 10 people to train a team of 600, right? It's literally impossible, right?
Yeah.
And so what companies will do sometimes to make up for that is they'll bring in these sales training consultancies, right? Like the force managements of the world. They'll bring in like the winning by designs of the world, right? These companies, these consultancies will come in, build the strategy, they'll build the sales methodology, right? They'll give you the whole playbook. And then they're like, hey, enablement team, now take this playbook, create content based on this, right? Create like video content and modules, right? Buy your LMS, like, they'll go buy their Seismics or High Spots, right? And or Mind Tickles, and they'll go build all of these modules for their reps. But the problem is, by just watching a video, the rep doesn't actually retain any of that knowledge,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The problem is that they don't actually know how to apply those skills in real life. And so that's where we're coming in and we're saying, hey, now it's not just, it goes beyond just like watching content and learning. The reps actually need to practice those skills in the simulated environment, right? And once they've gotten enough practice, they feel a lot more comfortable and confident in the real field. So that's the big difference between what's happening now and what they're using Hyperbound for.
Okay, that's awesome. So let's do this if it's okay with you. I think
Sure.
folks will probably want to see what this looks like, what it feels like. So, can we get into maybe a quick demo? Maybe you can kind of showcase your product a little bit. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, like for sure. So the way the product works is we have these different role play scenarios that you can construct on Hyperbound. And in fact, I actually took the liberty of, choosing a role play scenario that I built in the past already. So this persona here is an AI persona, not a real person, Money, in case you think I'm calling him a real person right now. This is an AI. His name
Yeah.
is Alex DuPont. He's a VP of sales operations at a company called Customer Center. Customer
Right.
Center is just a fake company that I came up with, right?
Gotcha.
And so I'm gonna do a cold call role play right now with Alex DuPont,
Hmm.
and he has some settings that we put on him, right? Particularly this persona, he's very rude, right?
Hmm.
And he doesn't like to ask many questions. He's not very curious, and he's
Hmm.
very rude. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a call to Alex right now, and we're gonna see what that role play looks like, and it's gonna feel it's gonna feel highly realistic, and it is a voice AI, so it's gonna talk to me back and forth. So on
Mhm.
that note, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot right here. We're gonna give Alex here a quick call. This is a cold call.
Hello, who is this?
Hi, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Why are you calling me?
Yeah, Alex. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. I promise this will just take 30 seconds. Do you have a second to chat?
Fine, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Alex. Alex, I was actually doing some research on your company, Customer Center, and I noticed that you guys currently use Zoom Info, correct?
Yeah, we use Zoom Info. What's your point?
Yeah, how's that working out for you all? Like, how long has it been since you brought it in, and are you finding that the data is quite accurate?
We've had it for about 2 years. It's all right, but the phone numbers aren't as accurate as we'd like. Anything else?
Gotcha, gotcha. Uh, do you have any numbers around like how accurate those phone numbers are? What's the issue behind the phone numbers?
We're seeing about 85% accuracy for phone numbers. That's not great.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what dialer do you use today, if you don't mind me asking?
We don't use a specific dialer. We just use our CRM.
Got it. Have you considered looking into other data sources as well? I know Zoom Info is just like one of many, right? Just curious.
Not really. We're not looking to switch data providers right now.
I see. But Alex, it does sound like you have that 85% accuracy. I'm sure you'd want to up that, right? Especially right now, like phones are really working, and what's most important for the phones to work well is a high accuracy rate on the phone numbers. So I actually run a company called Cognism, and Cognism, where our whole focus is on basically improving the accuracy of phone numbers. Have you heard of us before?
I've heard the name, but I'm not familiar with what you do.
Yeah, so we basically scrape the internet for detailed data, and we actually have human verification for each of our phone numbers that we collect. And we can actually give you almost a 93% accuracy on phone numbers compared to Zoom Info. Would that be something that would be interesting for you to try?
93% sounds better, but I'm hesitant to switch providers. We've got a lot of data tied up with Zoom Info, and cleansing our CRM would be a hassle.
Totally understand. Yeah, I've heard those stories before where you get rid of Zoom Info and you lose all your contacts. That's very unfortunate. So here's the thing: we do have a really cool migration tool that we offer to solve exactly for that, Alex. We can actually migrate all your Zoom Info data into Cognism so that you don't lose any of that data. And that way, even though it may feel like Zoom Info is getting rid of everything from your CRM, we can actually recover that data back really quickly. Would that be interesting for you to at least consider? No worries if this is not the best time.
All right, that sounds a bit more promising. Let's set up a follow-up meeting to discuss this in more detail.
For sure, Alex. Yeah, let's go ahead and set up some time. Does Tuesday 2 p.m. work for you?
Tuesday at 2 p.m. works. Send me the invite. Goodbye.
Awesome.
No, yeah, that certainly was quite interesting. It sounded, somebody engaged with you.
Right.
I'll be honest, it didn't feel that rude. He stayed on the phone pretty long with you.
He
Maybe
did
you
stay
have a
on.
different, maybe you have a different version of flavor of rude that's a little more rude. But anyway, I think people will get the idea. I think what you guys do.
Right.
You got some interesting cold call stats, metrics, and so forth. I can see that here. Yeah.
Exactly. So like post call, what you get the recording, you get the transcript, you get like a score on how well you did, you get some stats, like talk listen ratio, filler words, how fast I spoke. And the cool part also, Money, is like it gives you some really detailed feedback as well. Like let's say I didn't provide social proof here, right? It gives me detailed feedback on why I got scored this way, what I could have done differently the next time, right? So it's like really powerful to be able to get some instant feedback, instant coaching, and this is the technology of the future.
Got it. Okay, this is awesome. So, who are you guys selling to today? Like, who are your kind of call it target market, industry segments, ICP, that kind of thing?
Sure. So, Money, we spend a lot of time on this, figuring out who's the best target customer for a tool like this. And I think at the end of the day, what we've zeroed in on is basically mid-market enterprise clients where, let's say you have like around 50 sellers at minimum, right? And maybe you have like hundreds of sellers beyond that. That's where this becomes really useful, because you can imagine, right? Like when I have that many reps, every time I launch a new product or every time I want to, launch a new feature or roll out some new messaging, I have to go train every rep all over again. And that's such a big lift. That change management is extremely slow and painful. And that's where this tool basically automates that process and makes it really easy to roll out, new features and new products and new messaging. So that's the target market. Industry wise, we're focused on B2B SaaS companies particularly, and we do sell to our fair share of transportation and logistics companies as well. Somehow we found a pretty interesting niche there.
Got it. And who is the primary buyer, and what does the buying group or buying committee or team look like?
Yeah, for sure. So our typical buyer tends to be the CRO or VP of Sales at the end of the day. But we do have enablement leaders that champion this heavily. So we have like usually a VP of enablement, that's an influencer and a champion. And then we have a couple other like VPs of sales or director of sales that champion this internally.
Okay, understood. So you said B2B SaaS and transportation logistics. Okay, that makes sense. And you said 50 reps and up. I think that's what you said, right?
50 reps and up is usually the target market. Yeah.
Got it. And then, but do you sometimes do POCs that are maybe smaller scope, smaller size, and is there a minimum there?
Yeah, so depending on the account and the use cases and whatnot, we do have like a POC period that we like to do. So usually we'll do like a 2-week POC, right? Where we'll sit down with the client, build some personas that are customized to their company and some scorecards and have like usually like 20 to 30 reps go through the platform. And if that's not enough, sometimes we'll do like annual contracts with like a 30-day opt-out. And so that is also something that works well for us.
Got it. And let's talk about kind of customer value, business value.
Sure. Do you want me to stop sharing my screen, by the way?
I'm sorry?
Do you want me to stop sharing my screen?
Yeah. We can make it more of a discussion from here for sure.
Sure.
How does the head of sales, VP sales, enablement folks, how are they evaluating, assessing value from these kinds of tools?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, right? So, and this is one of the things that I think it's not just our tool, but with every AI tool right now, it's top of mind for people, right? Like, obviously, AI brings in a certain level of efficiency, right? But it's not perfect. There's a lot of shortcomings as well. There are areas where it's not as good, or it might not be as reliable as you would want it to be at times. And so, partially like that makes it a little hard sometimes to assess the value of like what you're bringing in, right? But I can speak to Hyperbound in particular. The way we think about our value is, we're not trying to teach companies that training is valuable, right? That's not the goal. That needs to be a core belief coming in. We're giving you the resources and the software to be able to implement your training in the most effective way possible. That's the way. Right. So we're not here to convince you that training is useful. If you don't believe training is worth investing in, that's a different problem. That's a non-Hyperbound problem. Right. And so once we've established that, okay, you care about training, it's worth investing in, you bring a Hyperbound in, how do you measure the results? That's where you start looking at like, okay, how much are my reps practicing? Is that translating to business value where they're actually generating more leads? If it's an SDR or if it's an AE, are they closing more deals, right? So win rate is the ultimate thing, right? But even in between, you can look at like the conversion rates at every stage in your pipeline too, right? Are my reps able to position things better in a competitive deal? Is my rep able to talk about my product in a more superior way than they used to before? Right. So there's a lot of these like things that you can look at. And then there's vanity metrics too. You can look at like confidence. Like, we have like self-reported confidence where reps are like, I just feel so much more confident on the phone than I did like 2 weeks ago after using it. So.
Okay, understood. And when you look at, these kind of AI role play, these newer sales tools, I'm sure there are other companies also popping up, right? And how do you differentiate your offering vis-a-vis some of the other tools, maybe in your category?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think the way we're going about it, Money, is we're trying to do the classic, get really specific on our ICP and niche down. Right. So we are specifically B2B sales training, right? There's a whole world of B2C sales training as well, right? We're not going to touch that for now, right? We're B2B sales training. We're going to stick there, right? And we're particularly focused on these industries, like I mentioned, the B2B SaaS, transportation, logistics industries, right? And we also are specifically focused on go-to-market only. Right. Because when you think about like customer facing conversations, you could do customer support training as well. Right.
Yeah.
You can do internal HR training. Right. There's a lot of conversational training that can be done in a company, but we're purely focused on go to market. And so there's a lot of competitors that are in our space that say like, hey, we're horizontal. We can do any conversational training in your entire company. Whereas we say, no, we are B2B, go to market focused, and we work in the revenue org, and that's our bread and butter. So that really helps us, because when people come to us, they know, okay, Hyperbound is the one for me, because I don't care about all these other use cases. I'm looking at the revenue org right now.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. And can you take us a little bit behind how this thing works? What's powering this whole thing? What's the tech behind it?
Yeah.
Whatever you can share, right? I mean, in terms of,
I mean, no, it's my
I'm sure people are impressed by the magic that happens, but then I'm sure they're curious, like, whoa, how does this come together?
Yeah. I mean, I'm an engineer originally, Money. So as much as I talk about go-to-market and sales these days, I come from a pure engineering background. I'm actually a full stack engineer myself. I do back and front end development, and the thing is, this technology took a long time to get where it is today. Like when we first started the company and we built our first bot ever, it used to have a 15-second delay.
Oh,
right?
wow.
You say something and it responds 15 seconds later. And this was running on my co-founder's computer on his local terminal. That was the MVP of Hyperbound. And every few months that would get better. It came down to like 10 seconds, came down to then 5 seconds, then came down to 3 seconds and 2 seconds and 1 second. And today it's 800 milliseconds of delay when you talk to the bot, right? And the more realistic it gets, the better, right? Like people feel like, okay, this is like a real conversation. And so the technology that's kind of enabling this in the back end, as with to no one's surprise, is LLMs, of course, right? And we use a variety of different LLMs. So we're using a little bit of OpenAI, we use a little bit of Claude, right? We use AWS Bedrock to host Claude. And there are a couple other things that we do too to basically really push the performance out of the system. And at a high level, when you think about what's going on underneath the hood, Money, there's basically 3 models, right? There's like the speech to text. When I speak, it's transcribing what I say. Then there's the text to text model. Basically, it needs to like do all the analysis within the LLM. And then there's the text to speech to like say what it output it again. And all of this is happening in real time.
Right.
And it's happening in 800 milliseconds. This whole 3 models and all one workflow in 800 milliseconds. And so that to crack has been like the most difficult part. But once we did it, it's huge, because it's what makes it feel so natural.
Got it. And is this maybe one of the things that also, from a technology standpoint, you think differentiates you guys? I'm just curious, like, there's other tools out there. Is the realism of the experience one of the things, or?
Yeah, for sure. So realism is huge. So there's a couple of different areas where we really differentiate, right? Like obviously realism is huge. Right now, if you go out onto the market, try out any of the other demos, you'll find that it's a lot more robotic, it's slower, the delay is much worse, right? So that's because we've really invested a lot of resources into making it as realistic as fast as possible. That also comes with a price tag. So we are the premium product on the market. We charge actually, in some cases, like double, triple what our competitors charge even for the product. But you'll notice that difference even in the quality, right? And then, so that's one thing. And also like other differentiators, just like we just have some really interesting takes on how we think people should use AI roleplay, right? Like, for example, building a bot, right? We have competitors that, you can't even build your own bot on the platform. You have to basically like fill out a form, request it, and they'll go build it for you. And like, they'll come back to you 24 hours later. We built our own self-serve bot builder where you can build your own agent in under 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Right. And all you need to do is put in a little bit of information about your persona. You can even upload your own documents if you'd like, and it builds a bot within 5 minutes.
Okay.
Right. So that's like a crazy innovation too on our end. And the thing is, salespeople are not technical. Right. So you're probably wondering, okay, like, do they need to know how to prompt engineer to be able to build these bots? The answer is no, because we've basically built out this like layer of abstraction that basically says like, hey, you can enter whatever trash you want to enter into this bot builder, but our AI will transform that into something, a good configuration that gets passed on and generates your agent. So that's part of like the technology leap that we took early on.
That's a really interesting thought, because even in the rest of the AI GTM tech that's coming along, right? I mean, some of it I feel is really designed for the GTM engineers or these rev ops and marketing ops and sales ops and
Yeah.
really technical types. But if you're able to make it really simple and easy, and I think what I'm hearing you say is maybe even can a rep build these bots? Can a SDR build the bots, or is it sales enablement? Like who are the
100%.
bot builders in your world?
100%. So actually, that's the thing. It's built in such a way that even a rep, right, who just joined the company with little knowledge about the persona can go in and build a really realistic persona just with like a few lines of
Gotcha.
text. It's because the AI is just trained on so many different scenarios and personas that anyone can build it. But typically, like what I found is from most of our customers, the managers or the directors will want to build the bots, or the enablement team will want to build them, right? And in some like specific cases, there are reps that will go and build them. And actually, that brings me to like an interesting use case for the product, where you can actually have a rep practice a real scenario before they go into it, right? So that's where like a rep might go build. So maybe a rep has a call in 30 minutes that's coming up and they're nervous for it. They can go build that scenario ahead of time, practice, and then go in. So
got it. Let's talk a little bit about packaging, pricing, because I think there's a lot of confusion in the market about all these new AI tools, and they're coming up with all these new ways that they're trying to price themselves, right? I'm sure traditional SaaS pricing is you have either a platform module pricing or you have a per seat pricing. Now people are talking about consumption-based pricing. Where do you guys fall in the whole pricing spectrum?
Yeah, this is definitely one of the biggest challenges, money, right? We have definitely been thinking about like how to evolve our pricing model as well, especially for different sizes of accounts, right? Like let me give you like a really simple example, right? Like we work with customers that are like, maybe they have 200 reps, right? And our typical model is the per seat model. And so you could buy 200 seats, no problem. All right. What about once you get to 2,000 seats, right? What do you do then? Do you buy 2,000 seats of Hyperbound, right? Because realistically, right, like how are we going to make sure that even we can support 2,000 seats? And most companies, like they are used to getting immense discounts, right? Like you like give out Salesforce 2,000 seats, you can get away with like $25-$30 a license at that level, right? Like even less than that in some cases. And the thing is, with our tool, we just can't afford that. Reason being, this technology is expensive still, right? AI is still expensive. We have a compute cost. Like if one rep out of that 2,000 decides to use Hyperbound like crazy, we're taking the cost of that, right? So the per seat model kind of breaks down once you get to the larger orgs, is what our biggest realization is. What we're actually working towards now is, okay, is there a limit to where we're okay with the per seat model, right? Maybe we go like up to like 600 seats, we're okay with the per seat model. And then beyond that, we're going to do a consumption-based model.
Got it.
Right. And the consumption-based model basically looks for like the number of minutes that you role played with the bot, right? Either minutes, this is still, by the way, this is still being figured out. So this is like not actually deployed with any customer. I'm just literally telling you what we've been thinking through, either on a minute level or even on or role play level, right? Whatever the unit is. We're thinking about like a consumption-based model. And I think that might actually make more sense in the future for the larger, mega enterprise orgs when you're talking like thousands and thousands of reps. So that's my take on the pricing stuff. But I know there's a lot of other stuff going around right now.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of folks are trying to figure this out, having their own challenges and struggles. And a little bit of what we do here, I didn't talk about it much, but at Quanzu, we have this person level visitor ID tech that tells people who's visiting their site down to the personal individual level. So that's instant warm leads that they can action through their SDR teams, BDR teams. And then we have secondary buying signals off-site. We have this account intelligence data. All of this ends up being buying signals, right? That can be used for personalizing the messaging, actually voice scripts for making the phone calls, on and on. I don't want to get into our stuff as much. The only point I was trying to make is pricing. Same thing like you. We were like, hey, we got to consumption-based pricing, outcome-based pricing. So we've said, okay, no platform fee, no per user fee, no seat, no nothing, but it's really, you're paying per lead, per website, warm lead, account, engage account. So outcomes, whatever they can put to use, put to value. So yeah, I think even for your products that I can see, besides seat-based, I can see, consumption, meaning how many minutes was the product technology actually used, but then obviously you need to capture some base value, right? Because you're putting a lot of investment into the sales.
And so what we, usually for that, we'll put in like a professional services fee, or we have like a platform fee that can go along with it. In fact, even before we did this per seat model, our previous model used to be a platform fee plus per seat. So it used to be both. And then, we felt like, a lot of B2B buyers were actually confused by that. They didn't like the platform fee. They're like, why am I paying a platform fee and a per seat fee? Like, I don't want to pay for both. I want to pay.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, if that's the problem, if it's a problem around this messaging, then let's just get rid of the platform fee. We'll increase the per seat fee. And it's the same thing. Right? And so it seems like just that, even that change alone just has made people feel more comfortable. I think it's just like they're used to B2B SaaS being priced that way. And so we're like, okay, let's not confuse you. Let's stick to what you're used to.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we can go on about pricing, but I know we got to hit a bunch more topics before we get done. So I think the next question was really, this as we spend the next 10 minutes, I really wanted to talk about your own GTM. How are you guys trying to build your business? What did you do last year? What are some of your plans for this year? And then we'll wrap up with, I just kind of a look forward around how do you see AI changing go to market? That'll be our wrap up question. But let's spend some time on Hyperbound and how you guys are building your business in terms of your GTM.
Yeah, it's a excellent question. Lots of things going through my head when you ask that question. There's our go-to-market motion is definitely getting like a full revamp right now. Not in a bad way, like in a good way. Like last year, everything was just free organic LinkedIn growth, right? So we, my co-founder and I, just posted every single day on LinkedIn. We built a founder brand for ourselves. We, any week where we would get a ton of impressions, ton of engagement, the next week our calendars would be filled with demos. So that's how we basically grew last year. And the nice part also is just you saw the product today, Money. It has that like element of excitement. Like it has that like you see it and you're like, whoa, that's actually really cool. I've never seen anything like that moment, right? Imagine like now, like at least people are seeing like, these ChatGPT voice and all these things coming out. So it's starting to become more normalized. But back then, like literally last January, February, this was like magic, right? Like people saw this and they're like, whoa. And so that basically started like this inbound flywheel. And all of last year, we just closed every deal on inbound, right? So every week we'd have like, 10 qualified meetings, and we just keep going and going. And then that's how we basically grew the company last year. And so this year, the goal is like, okay, LinkedIn worked last year, but if we want to take this to the next level, we have to put some more money into it, right? We have to put more skin in the game. And so we're going to double down on LinkedIn. We're going to really focus on LinkedIn ads. We're also going to double down on Google as well, right? We're already organically pretty high up on Google right now for our category, thanks to like just all the content and the hype that's like built around last year. But because we're already seeing some success there, we want to double down on it as well. So we're doing Google ads as well. And then also we started SEO finally, which we never did. Also we're going to be doing a little bit of influencer marketing. Like that's something that really worked for us last year, like here and there. Like we did a little bit, we had a lot of influencers post about Hyperbound, and again, all free. I never paid for a thing. And so this year we're like, let's be
Yeah.
more strategic. Let's choose the influencers that we think are really aligned with our brand and what we're trying to build. And let's build some partnerships and really, really like, push the edge on this. And so that's what the go-to-market motion looks like. And I should mention, we've talked about inbound a lot. You're probably like, okay, do you guys do any outbound? And the answer is not yet, but we will be starting outbound in about a couple of weeks from here. I think it's the only way to get to the mid-market enterprise orgs.
Got it. So you're gonna have your own SDRs doing outbound calling, etc.
Exactly. So we're probably most likely just gonna have our AEs be full cycle reps and do like cold calling and prospecting day in, day out.
Cool. Got it. Interesting. And I got to say, I mean, you guys picked a good name. It's easy to remember.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm talking the company name. I don't know how that came about, but I think it makes such a difference, isn't it?
So yeah, it's funny because like we when we first started the company, we actually used to be like an email automation product, right? So in fact, we were like one of the AI SDR companies, back in the day. Yeah, so we used to build like a personalization engine for emails, and we were thinking like, okay, we're hyper personalizing your emails, and it's your email outbound, right? So hyperbound, and that's how we came up with Hyperbound. And we stuck with it because even now it makes sense. We still do like a lot of outbound training, and we're trying to like hyper scale companies. So
fair enough. No, the name works. It's easy, more important, and I think it's easy to remember. 2 syllables. I think of that, when I think about company names and stuff. Let's talk next about, so I think you've kind of covered a lot of this in terms of your GTM stuff. For the time we have left, a few minutes, how do you see the year ahead in terms of, if you can touch upon two topics. One is, when you take your kind of product technology into the enterprise, into the mid-market, what are the other typical tools that you plug into, connect into? People want to make sure you play nice, and then we can talk about kind of just looking at how do you see AI starting to continue to evolve, and how will that impact you guys?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I actually made a post about this the other day on LinkedIn as well about exactly this. Like, I was talking to this enterprise company the other day. They're like a $30 billion company. They have 2,000 person revenue org, right? And we were talking about like getting licenses to Hyperbound, and he was like, look, man, I don't really care about every feature on your platform. I just want an integration into SalesLoft, and that integration, I just want one button that ends in my SalesLoft instance that says practice with Hyperbound, right? If you can make that happen, I will buy 2,000 licenses worth of Hyperbound tomorrow. Right? He's like, I don't care. I know what you're going to tell me to go into Hyperbound, and you have all these features and you have your own UI. My reps are already occupied. They're going through multiple different tools. They already live inside of SalesLoft. So bring the Hyperbound experience into SalesLoft for me, and we have a deal, right? And that just reminded me like how important like these integrations are. He was like, in fact, we're already like customers of SalesLoft. So if we can even buy Hyperbound as through SalesLoft, right? SalesLoft's paper makes it even easier to get through procurement, right? And I was like, this is really interesting. And that's just like a realization I had. But we've been always like very good with integrations in general, Money. Like I mentioned, so SalesLoft, obviously, after that conversation, that's in progress. But we integrate with Salesforce, we integrate with HubSpot. We can push like role play data in and out of HubSpot and Salesforce. We can also pull in your real call data out of Salesforce or HubSpot. We also integrate with all the call recording tools. So we have like integrations into Gong and Chorus and Zoom and Google Meet and all the popular call recording tools. And reason why is because we actually nowadays, like, we don't just do the role plays now, we actually analyze real calls as well.
Oh, got it. Of the same rep to see if there's
Exactly.
improvement,
So
right?
you
If
can
they're
like not
changing.
only measure the role
Okay.
plays, you can measure how they're doing in real life and combine that data together. And so
Oh, that's interesting.
exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, we have all these integrations built out. I think we have over like 25 different integrations at the moment.
Wow. And is your team how's the team structured, located? Is it here? Did you have teams outside of the US?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, my co-founder and I grew up in the U.S. here in the Bay Area. So we're looking to build like an in-person company in San Francisco. That's the
Got
goal.
it.
However, we haven't upheld that promise. When you find
Yeah.
good talent, you take them right wherever they are. And so we have folks we have actually an engineer in Chennai at the moment. And then we have one
Hmm.
engineer in Brazil, and we have our
Hmm.
product designer is in the UK. Uh, Everyone
Oh,
else
wow.
is in the US. We have like one person in Pittsburgh, and the others are all in the Bay Area here. So
Gotcha. So
we're
distributed
slowly
remote.
moving the whole team, and like literally, the person from Pittsburgh is making the move in like a month or two to San Francisco. The guy from our
Got
product
it.
designer from UK is also making the move to San Francisco in the coming months as well. So
Oh, okay, awesome. Okay, so just to wrap it up then, what do you see happening with the AI and GTM just looking ahead, 2025? What do you find exciting? What do you think are the opportunities? And just in terms of broader market adoption, anything that you see looking ahead?
yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy because every day I log into LinkedIn, there's like some new company launching some crazy new thing, and go to
Hmm.
market and coming up with all kinds of just unique ways to find data, analyze data, right? Like ingest data, integrate different tools. Because now that we have so many tools, there's so many like integrations and other layers you need between those to make them work together. So there's just a lot of things going on. I personally think that like there's a couple of things that AI is really good at, right? Money, and I've talked to my team about this many times. It's like AI is really good at writing copy right now. So I
Yeah.
think the whole
Hmm.
like AI SDR thing, I think one of those companies will prevail at the end of the day. Like it will get the LLMs will get good enough that like they'll be able to write some killer emails. Like, even if they're not perfect right now, I
Hmm.
think that will happen. I also think that like AI is going to be huge in coaching, right? It's
Hmm.
huge. Like that's our whole focus, right? We're really making a bet on coaching. And then I also think that AI is going to be big with just research and pre-call prep, right? Like because imagine like, before reps used to go through 10K reports, right? To prepare for
Hmm.
calls.
Yeah.
And those are like huge, long reports. Now you can just use AI to analyze those things, right? And so,
Hmm.
or, reps would have to listen to a whole podcast of a person. Now they can use
Yeah.
AI to just like identify important parts of the podcast. And so I think
Hmm.
so where I'm going with this is like pre-call prep, coaching, copy, right? Those three things are going to blow up for sure. Everything else, I think, is very much up in the air, and there's going to be a lot of things happening. Um, uh, uh,
Yeah.
I'm making a bet on conversational intelligence taking off here as well. Like the Gongs of the world, I think they have just like not innovated with AI in a long time. They have so much data. They have all this call data, and anyone I talk to, they're like, Gong has all the data. What are you going to do? That's what the investors ask me. And I'm like, what are they doing
Hmm.
with the data? They've had the data for like 10 years. Or sorry, not 10 years.
Hmm.
That's exaggeration. I don't even know if they've been around for that long, but like they've had all this data for so long. What are they doing with it? Right. So I think there's going to be something to unlock there as well. And maybe it's not Gong that's going to do that. And yeah, we're making a bet on that with Hyperbound as well.
Got it. So let's wrap it up. Thank you. It was a really, fun conversation. Hopefully, folks, are going to get a lot out of this. I'm going to put up a slide. It's just going to have contact stuff and let people know how they can reach out, learn more, etc., etc. Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm going to share my screen now. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So you can definitely reach me at hyperbound.ai. That's the best way to reach me. I'm super active on LinkedIn, so feel free to DM me anytime. And if you want to try that demo that we just did today, you can actually just go to our website, hyperbound.ai. click the big green button that says try free demo, and you can actually go try the bot yourself. It's a really cool experience. It's free, and you can do as many calls as you want. So worth checking out.
And same with everybody, guys. You've got my LinkedIn there, my email. Feel free to reach out. Love to continue the dialogue conversation offline. Thanks, Sriharsha, for taking the time. We're right at the 45-minute mark. And I think we're off to a great start with our AI GTM talks.
Thanks,
man.
Money.
Have a good day.
Appreciate it.
Okay.